The latest round of stimulus checks are hitting bank accounts, but there are also some issues, just like when the first round of stimulus checks went out. So we know that you have questions and we're working to get you answers. Scott Braddock from Scott Braddock Financial and Mark Hensley from AARP North Carolina, the Triad Region. They are our experts today. You can text them. The number is 336-379-5775. Again, this is text only with your question. Don't call with your question. All right, we already have a whole bunch of questions in the queue. The first one deals with H&R Block, and I know I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more at 6 o'clock, but Scott, I know you know about this. The person is asking, why would the IRS send my stimulus check to H&R Block, the place that has done my taxes for 10 years, and shouldn't it be direct deposited?
Right. So what we've seen happen with H&R Block and also TurboTax is when folks use these tax preparers to prepare their returns, what happened is when taxpayers use their refund that they were entitled to pay the taxes that they owed, what's happening is because they went that direction, their stimulus check is actually being deposited into those companies' bank accounts. So TurboTax's bank account, as an example, is receiving those stimulus checks. Now, the good news here is that it looks like they're going to be able to return those funds to the rightful taxpayer by tomorrow, Wednesday. However, there is about maybe 1% that could change. 1% of those folks are not going to be able to receive those stimulus checks, and they'll have to file for that stimulus on their tax return. It is called the Recovery Rebate Credit that they'll list on their 2020 tax return.
Okay, so if you had H&R Block or TurboTax and you use their like refund assistance or that kind of thing, or refund transfer, that is where your stimulus payment probably is at this point, and they are both working to get that done. All right, Mark, this person is saying, I changed my bank since the first stimulus, and it said that has been deposited in my old bank account, which is closed. So what should I do?
So the first thing is contact the bank. I'm not sure how they can tell it's been deposited unless they track the status through irs.gov, which I did test out today. irs.gov, find your payment, track your payment, takes a few more extra clicks, but it does show the date and when payments have been deployed. So contact the bank, but the bank will send that back to the IRS. And with this short window of getting the cash payments out, if it's sent back, then as Scott mentioned, they're going to have to count that as a rebate if they don't receive that by January the 15th. That's the cutoff for all of these payments.
Right. This is a little different than the last time because Congress has actually written into this relief bill that all the payments have to be out by January 15th. Otherwise, the only option is to do the tax return. So, Scott, when that happens, I mean, you are still able to get the entire amount of money and maybe even more amount of money than what you would have gotten with the stimulus, but you'll have to wait for your tax return.
Well, that's correct. You'll have to wait until your tax return is completed and you file it. And what folks need to know is that on their tax return, they're going to list that they are entitled to that credit. Typically, this is whenever there's a credit, we don't receive it until we file our taxes. However, in this case, with the pandemic, they're giving it to folks as a cash payment so that they can help take care of themselves, but also in a way to help stimulate the economy also. So that will be an option. So even if the first stimulus check was not received, maybe you didn't qualify because of your income in a prior year, this will give you an opportunity to file your 2020 tax return. And if they find that you're eligible because you do now fit the income requirements, you could actually receive more.
Okay, last time there was a lot of change on how you could put information in and this, that, and the other. Mark, I believe that all of that has gone by the wayside. So here's the question. Last stimulus, I had direct deposit. Now I have the same direct deposit, but it says there's not enough information on the Get My Payment tool. So is there anything I need to do?
So the answer is no. There's a lot of this frequently asked questions at irs.gov. And the way they're deploying these payments are in batches, and they're going with batches of information that they already have information either to do a direct deposit. And just because you got a direct deposit doesn't mean that you won't receive the debit card in the mail or a paper check. It's really confusing, but about 4 million people will receive that prepaid debit card. They're not reloading the debit card that you received earlier in the year, so shred that, throw it away. But they're actually swapping, and it's really not clear as to why, except that they're doing this in batches, and it's not based on income. It's going out based on how they're determining at the IRS to send these either by mail or by direct deposit.
Okay.
But the answer is no, there's nothing to do. Do not call the IRS. That is in big bold letters everywhere that I'm reading. Do not call the IRS, because this window is only going to be open a little more than 2 weeks.
Right. And again, once the window is closed, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get a stimulus payment per se. You're just going to have to get it with the tax return. Scott, this person is asking, if I owe back child support, do I qualify to receive this stimulus check?
Well, the answer this time around is yes, which is completely different than the first round of stimulus, because the only ones that didn't receive that stimulus is the ones that owed back child support, so child support in arrears. However, with this second stimulus, even if you owe back child support, back taxes, you are entitled to receive this stimulus check.
Okay, we're going to continue to take your text questions. The number right there at the bottom of the screen, 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.